Hello, guys and ladies. I want to speak for not long. I won't take long. It won't take long. Be safe. It won't take long. Also because I can't use my web very well. I'm not a very good user of web, and so I don't know how to do because I can't use the computer. I'm registering. I'm having it on the mobile, and then I will put it on the computer. Sorry, that's the most I can do. Don't ask me too much. It's more than I can. È fin troppo, sto diventando matta per farlo. So that's enough. The important thing is that we review something, because I realized that maybe you are not well aware of what the Romantic period was, because you didn't pay much attention to it. The Romantic period, let's review, let's make a rewind of all of it. In the Romantic period, there are two main streams, two periods of the Romantic age. One is the first and main Romantic period, and we did it with Wordsworth, Coleridge, and that was based on the self, on the personal self of the poet, and it was very revolutionary. We can say that, in fact, both of them had revolutionary ideas, and they wanted to, one of them wanted to create a new a new town in America, which it couldn't, obviously, Coleridge. But in the second Romantic period, we have internalized and more reviewed ideas, and also some ego coming out more and more, because we have Shelley and Keats, who were very close friends. They lived for some time, they lived together here in Italy as well. They were good travelers. They loved life. They loved strong emotions, as well as all Romantic poets did. That's something which is connected to Romantic poetry, emotion, having strong emotion and the sense of sublime, and to appreciate the sublime and what is beyond your rationality. But for Shelley, it was something which was not in the real world. It was very nature. Nature for Shelley was veiled, had a veil, was covered by a veil, by a very subtle veil, and we could never understand nature. So what we live is not a real truth. We live in a world which is not real. We live in some magic, divine, spiritual reality, and one day we'll discover that whatever is around us was not real. And if you remember the poem we had, Ozymandias, in that poem, he wrote that there was calling back of the past through the eyes of a present person. So there were a lot of voices mingling and mixing together. It's important. So let's make a scheme. First of all, Shelley needs to give you the sense of beauty. All of them want to give you the sense of beauty in the second romantic period. They want to give you the sublime in beauty, in whatever is beauty in the world. Maybe in a flower, or in a tree, or in a beautiful woman, or in something which is in the wind, going and blowing round in the wind. But for Shelley, it was not pertinent to reality. It was something which was not real. It did not belong to real world. It was just as if we live just like images of ourselves. We are not real. We live in a world which is not perfect, is not real, and it is for us the moment when we can find a refuge for ourselves is in poetry, because we find in poetry a refuge from the injustice and from the all the things which are not correct and concrete and disappoint us in a real world, even in everyday life, in an everyday moment of your life. You can find a refuge from your disappointment in poetry, and this poetry belongs to what is the word of the unreal. So you find, for this reason, you find your refuge in an unreal word, not in reality, not in the real word. And so unreal word is seen as in a positive way, because it is something which gives and offers you plenty of occasions and of joy and of moments of changement, and to be happy, to have your feelings appreciated, and to express your feelings, to tell them to the woman you like, to the person you love, even to watch, to observe the nature and to chant it. And it is something which is really important for Shelley. And on the other side, there is a lot of melancholy in the poet's dreams, because obviously when you think that there is a positive moment only in an unreal world, it means that in the real world, in the world of reality, in the common everyday world, you will never find joy, because joy is not of this world, is not something which belongs to the world we are living in. And we have it also in the poem Ozymandias. In that poem, we have three voices, three narrators chanting that. One is the external narrator. Do you remember the external narrator? So the poet saying and singing that once upon a time he went into the desert and saw a man. And the man was praying and was speaking, and he was addressing in his speech and reading the words written on the statue of Ozymandias, on the pedestal of the statue. And then at that moment, we have the voice of Ozymandias, which is Ramses II, a great emperor. And what are the words? It says, I am the great emperor, I am the great Ozymandias, and this is my word, and you will never trespass what are my limits are and what I command, what I am in command. But if you look well, he is in command of nothing, because his temple and this city and this great empire has been destroyed. There's nothing left. There is just one statue, and we have the description. We have a very clear description of the statue and of the surrounding in the desert. So in the desert, nothing around it. So that is a moment, the desert of life, the desert of the soul, and everything which is on the earth will live and will come to death. So there will not be eternal life. A huge and big statue can't warranty even the greatest of the kings eternal life. So as it was for Ozymandias, for Ramses, it is the same. There is political link. It is the same for Napoleon or for all the other conquerors of the time when he was living. And he was very, in fact, Shelley was very in the political actions of his own time. He was an activist. He wanted to change the world he was staying in. Then he had to go away, and in fact, after staying in Oxford, at the university in Oxford, he published a pamphlet which was banished because it was really a theory which said exalted the poetry against imagination, and he wrote many times in a way which might be considered for us very simple and clear, so nothing peculiar, nothing strange, but for the time it was considered really hazardous, so that he had to go out and to leave England. By the way, he married and he escaped with, if you remember, he escaped with the young Mary Wollstonecraft, who later became his wife, but he was already married, and she became Mary Shelley, and she published, she was the author of of Frankenstein, the modern Prometheus. So they had similar opinions, similar view of what will be in the past, in the future, and what is the lifetime, what is due for your life, what is important or not in life, and what it means science, what it means to discover something new, and what is nature, why is it in contrast to science or not, why do we have to consider nature and science discordant and one opposite to the other, And we have the explanation in the poem of Shelley, and in the poetry of Shelley, and even in the novel by Mary Shelley. So for Shelley, the poet's task is to be a prophet. He wanted to be a prophet, but not in the sense that he wanted to tell everybody, to show everybody how life would become in the future, but just to discover, to unveil that what we are living is not real, and that is being a prophet, to let the others take part in your opinions, take part in and share the truth, what was the truth for him. And by the way, he also wanted to have Titanic elements in all his poetry. So Titanic people, Titanic heroes who challenged the rules of nature. He himself challenged the rules of nature, and in fact he died while he was on a boat, because he just wanted to go out in Geneva during a storm, and so he never came back. So it was a person who was very young. We can't say whether he was challenging or maybe just had no unconscious of what the results of his actions might have been. However, he left us many wonderful poems, and the ones which we have make the Romantic age. He was in close relationship with Keats, and Keats is very different, however, from him. They were close friends, they shared a lot of ideas, but Keats is much more he has an idea, it's more classical. It says that the main idea is that I think of beauty as a joy forever. So beauty really exists on earth. It's not imagined, it's not created by our imagination or by some visions. Beauty really exists, and the poet is somebody who has a task in life. The task of the poet is that to chant beauty, to let beauty live forever, because time can let it crumble, can it make it die, can destroy beauty and joyfulness and happiness and even nice moments of joy, and for example the ones described in Ode on a Grecian Urn. We might wonder, why is it taking so long to describe the actions on the Grecian Urn? Why is it so interested in such the urn, the Grecian urn, just like many ones we continuously see? and we know about, because we are lucky, because we have a lot of books, and we can, well, we could, and we can't now, but we could travel and we could see them in museums, or even in the sites in Athens as well. But we have to consider a few things. First of all, that was a time when a lot of discoveries were made in Athens, and they were, let's say, stolen, just right away stolen, and taken to the British Museum. So in the British Museum, you have a lot of Greek art, and so you can appreciate the art of the Greeks. But at the same time, you could see and watch, admire them in the perfection of the images, which was not known until then. It was not easy to know about it, to see, to watch, to be in contact with it. And when he watched such a Grecian urn, he started to wonder and to consider something. So what is that? He started to consider life. He started to think about life. Well, on the urn there are pipers, and they are on it, but they seem to be alive. And watching them, we nearly listen to a music. Then there is a girl dancing, and the girl dancing, and we can nearly watch the movement, because they are very creative and they are moving. They are really beautiful. There's beauty, and beauty is in the fixed art, in the fact that they are fixed forever, they are young forever. And a boy beyond is the fact that is most important is the young boy who wants to kiss the young girl, and it doesn't arrive, it doesn't manage to kiss her, because he's stuck in stone. He will never move. But it's got a double meaning. As well as he can't move, and he will never reach her and kiss her, well, in the same way, he will never become old, and she will never become old, and she will never go to marry somebody else. She will be forever that young girl dancing. So the story is fixed in the stone, and it will be what there in order to be watched forever, as if it is happening every time you watch it. So it doesn't end. They never grow old. They are young, forever young. There are so many songs, if you think about it. Forever young, I wanna be forever young. Do you really want to dream forever, forever and ever, forever young? I want to be forever young. So it's something in the soul of the people to be young, to be happy, to be to have this desire. And on the Grecian rune, on poetry, on the poetry by kids, they still have it. They are still young. They are young and happy, and that's what it is. That's what is the poetry by kids. That's the ideal, and the poet's task. He manages to have forever, never get to change.